Hello everyone, today I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Chronicles. I'm going to be talking about all three games in the series, which is China, India, and Russia. And yeah, these are a very interesting series of games. I remember when I first heard a Assassin's Creed China game, I went crazy. I'm like, oh, finally, it's going to be such a cool setting, in the ancient world. And it was 2D, and I immediately stopped caring about any of it. I thought, oh, this game is gonna suck, and I just lost all interest in it. I don't, these games started coming out, when Assassin's Creed was kind of, but I thought they were just cheap ripoffs. But I'm pleasantly surprised that these are really decent, good games. They're definitely on a much smaller scope and scale, definitely more aligned with the whole sort of Prince of Persia style of gameplay, and they're very, very fun. And again, they have the same kind of growth from Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and 3, in the sense that, you have things like, ancient China to sort of Middle Ages India, and then finally to modern-ish Russia. So, Assassin's Creed in 2D, how does that actually work? It sounds kind of crazy or like it wouldn't, but it actually does. This gameplay is actually very, very fun because it focuses on stealth more than combat. Something I'm very, refreshed to see. And so when these games came out on Game Pass, I was just shocked how fun they actually were. So in ancient China, you play a female assassin who is essentially, the story, funnily enough, doesn't really matter. I'm usually very big on the story, but here it doesn't super matter. Because the gameplay is actually really well made. She's basically after the guy who essentially has a piece of Eden, and he's trying to control the world, and I don't really remember much else. In India, I think it's the same thing. And in Russia, it's a bit more involved because it takes place during the Russian Revolution, and you have to save actually one of the Russian princesses, actually. The way this game works, there are new mechanics. You use whistling to draw enemies' attention to you. Hiding enemies is also a big part of this game. You'll have certain areas where you can hide behind curtains and cover, and the way you navigate around the environment is very interesting. Sometimes it's very frustrating, to be honest with you, but sometimes it works really well. What's also interesting is after every segment, every room basically, or series of rooms, you will get a rank, and that rank becomes your overall score. So there's, of course, bronze, silver, and gold, which is a completely new mechanic. And what's also interesting about each one of these games is they're done in a very distinct style, each one of them. So the Chinese one is done almost like in a watercolor style animation in the, cutscenes. India, it's kind of more, I don't know, just kind of blurry, while the Russia one is, of course, done in the big, blocky communist letters. Another cool thing is that you can hide behind pillars and, in hidden, in hidden shadow rooms, and if someone walks by there, you can stab them, bring them in. The big thing about this is you also have a noise detector, so when you run, you have these little echoes which, go around you, which shows you how much noise you're making, and if it hits one of the enemies, they will come and investigate. The enemies also have, Metal Gear Solid lines of sight cones where they will be able to see a certain area when they turn around or to and from or up and down. There's a lot of verticality in the later sections of this game. And of course, if you're able to sneak past with no alarms, you get gold. And it also tells you what kind of player you are. If you do everything engagement, full on, then you're more of a warrior. And of course, if you stealth everything, you're more of a ninja. But yeah, in terms of a actual, Oriental Ninja-esque Assassin's Creed, even though this isn't a full 3D game, I would still really give these games a chance, because I thought, like everyone else, that, oh, whatever, it's going to be a 2D thing, it's going to be a disaster, it's going to be a crummy ripoff, but I found them to be extremely fun to play. What I think is good about more so even the later games in the Chronicles series, is that they keep giving you new upgrades and new weapons to do, like, certain moves. So you do all this really neat stuff with, like, rope darts and chakrams and bombs. And my favorite one is in the Russia one, where you get a telephone, and it's actually, it's part of the environment, so it's not an item, but you can basically call this telephone in the building, and it'll go to the other end of the building, and the person will answer it. And there's also cool exploding devices. They, of course, have rifles and muskets in that game. Lots of really fun, cool stuff. There's even a crazy part in Assassin's Creed that is canon where you have to outrun this tank that's firing at you and take it out. It's kind of funny where this series has gone, but again, it's actually very hard not to get spotted, or at least put on caution alert, because even if the tip of that arrow touches you, suddenly they're going to investigate what you are, and if it fills up to the if it becomes red and fills up, then they're going to go on attack. And again, the combat in this game is not really the main focus. It's very kind of fluky and hard. You can block attacks, you can dodge, you can do counters, obviously, but really, if you get in a fight with 2 or more people, you're probably going to die. It's very brutal in that way, and I like how it actually does influence a lot of stealth, and I think it's kind of a shame that, again, a lot of people have kind of slept on this series, or I've just heard nothing about it, and it's actually a very just well-made game. They also get this cool mechanic near the end of the game where you basically get this thing called like Assassin's Vision or Power or something. And in doing this, you basically are able to not, because as you go from cover to cover, while the enemy's there, they can see you. And so with the Assassin's Power, you like instantly teleport to that area, which I thought was really, really cool. And this whole meter thing that you use. And this is one of the things that really opened my eyes up to New Game Plus. I think this probably has some of the best New Game Plus mechanics, because a lot of, like the worst one I can think of recently is Resident Evil 8, where it's like, okay, yeah, you can like upgrade all your stuff and do all this all cool other stuff and keep all your points and whatever. But like the intro section is like an unskippable 20 minutes, and then you have to do scripted walking through scripted environments. The next bit, and like I just want to get back into the hub world of the game, and there's no option to skip to that point. This game, it immediately puts you almost, you have the option to like start the game over again, but now with the assassins, thing from the start, so you can teleport instantly, and I think you can unlock a thing to make it like infinite. So I really think it's a really smart way to do New Game Plus, where it's not like, okay, you're just going to do the same game again, but to get the achievements, no, we're going to give you a bunch of insane cheats or essentially tools to do the game again. And I think that's how games should be. I'm very much a fan of things, you play it once, and if you enjoy it enough, then you'll play it again. And there should be almost no difficulty except like the natural one choice. So like in Dark Souls, every time you do beat the game, enemies do get harder, but you get more souls from them, which means you can upgrade your stuff more. And so the more you do that, the more kind of potential there is for you to improve. And I think that's a great way to look at it. But what's even a better way is that, look, if you've already been in game once and you have to play it again, like, God, I think the worst one of this is probably Nier, actually, because they expect you to beat the game canonically 3 or 4 times to get the true ending. And in the new one, it's 5 times, technically. But it's to the point where, like, I know every cutscene, and I'm so tired of seeing them that you either should give me the ability to skip entire sections altogether, or you should give me the ability to essentially to have game-breaking cheats and hacks activated, so at least the game is interesting and like fun in a different way. And I think the fact that this game gives you a lot of really cool, interesting superpowers, and it's a very short game, it really enticed me to play it again and just kind of breeze through it. I remember, again, like, I don't know, another thing about New Game Plus is like Silent Hill. I was so peeved and annoyed at the fact that if I didn't know how to get a specific item, the Asclophagos, and save the specific character in the specific way and do this other weird stuff, I actually could get a bad ending. I'm not sure if people know that. Yeah, like you get multiple endings in Silent Hill 2 and 3. I think no, definitely 2. But in 1, you can actually get a wrong ending, and that annoyed me to no end. And I was like, oh, I don't want to have to speedrun with this super atmospheric game. But they gave you a jackhammer and a chainsaw. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. And when I did, I was actually shocked at the speed at which I beat a game once I've already played it. First time we went through a game, I'm looking at every corner, talking to every NPC, it's absorbing the environment. And then after that, it's like being to a place or a restaurant you've already been to, where you can just speed run through it, and it's just the normal simple task over and over again. So it's not even a big issue. Anyway, the music, presentation, characters in this game, they're all pretty okay. But again, the gameplay really shines here. It's a lot of fun. And it's very much more tactical than Assassin's Creed because your movement is restricted to the 2D plane. You think very carefully about what you're going to do, and you know there is a certain way to do something. If there are 3 guys in the environment, there are probably 3 places to hide their bodies. And so you can really think how to optimize a certain room or a certain environment, and you can keep redoing it until you're satisfied with what you have. And it's easy enough to be caught that you can, has enough difficulty there. But it's actually a very fun game series. I don't remember much about the India one. It felt very short. And again, I got Prince of Persia vibes because there's a princess you have to save, and it just felt like that story kind of again. I felt like India was actually shorter than the other 2, but I remember almost nothing about it. However, China and Russia are very, very interesting, good, fun games. And they don't really breach into the overall lore, and they don't really have to. But yeah, the whole thing itself was just a super, super enjoyable experience. And again, their New Game Plus is honestly a role model. I never thought of a game being like that. And honestly, when you naturally replay New Game Plus, then I think about it like I have kind of, if I have any achievements to get, or I want to, get all the collectibles the second run time through, that's what I do. But the first time I go in, I'm totally blind. I react naturally. If an NPC dies, they died. Don't worry about it. And the second time, I can work on completing it and focusing on it. And I'm even thinking of like Code Vein. I did the same thing. I've done that with almost every game that does have a New Game Plus feature. If I don't carry over my stuff, then why bother? But great series. I think pretty heavily recommended. Even if you're not into Assassin's Creed, and I don't think you should be. To really even enjoy this, it's a great strategy game, and I totally recommend it. All right, see you guys. Bye.